Hey, Joey, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate you coming to the office.
Oh, thanks, James.
Awesome. Let's grab a seat here. We can kind of get things rolling.
Yep.
Perfect. So, tell me what's going on, Joey. I mean, I know we kind of talked on the phone a little bit, but just give me in your words, I mean, what's going on? What are you guys trying to do?
Well, you know what? We're really excited about this. I've been renting for a while.
Sure.
And so we're just excited, like I said on the phone.
Yeah.
We're just excited to get the process started. It's my first home. And so, I'm just excited to kind of get rocking and rolling and learn about the process. I mean, I'd like to, like I told you, I'm renting and we have I have a lease coming up here, and I just like to get going on this. I'm just excited about it.
That's awesome, Joey.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I'm excited with you. I'm really excited to help you guys. I'm excited to teach you guys a little bit about the process, what it looks like, and to really get you guys on the right track.
Okay.
So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to start off with a really in-depth needs analysis.
Okay.
And I know we kind of touched on a lot of this stuff on the phone, so don't be alarmed if all of a sudden like, well, did we already talk about this? I'm just going to make sure I get it all in depth right here. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
Awesome. So first thing we're going to start off. So I know you said you're renting, so I'm going to go ahead and circle that. And then so I guess time frame wise, Joey, what would be your ideal time frame?
Well, like I was saying, I think if we could get pre-qualified, and everything's smooth there, I think that I would do this pretty quick. I mean, I would if we're all good here and I learn about the process and I'm pre-approved. I'm on a month to month, so I think in the next couple months in the spring, once it warms up.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's probably. I mean, you're probably right on track there. Just to give you kind of a quick heads up. It takes about 45 days to close on a house. So if you just kind of use that in your time frame build, like, okay, from the day we get an accepted offer on the home that you guys love and you're ready to move in, it'll be about 45 days before we can actually close and get the keys for the house.
Okay.
So using that to kind of backwards plan a little bit on your time frame. So you still think that roughly, April time frame, we kind of talk spring, April would be fine?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's January, and if everything goes good here with the pre-approval and everything, I mean, yeah, if I was in a house in March, I guess March, April, no big deal.
Awesome. So I'm going to put you down as ASAP then, because I think we're right on track there. One nice benefit that a lot of people don't know that are renting when you go from renting to owning. So let's say we do find you the perfect home, Joey, and we get you closed March 3rd. And March 3rd, you guys are moving into your perfect home. Your first mortgage payment's not actually going to be due until May 1st.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of cool too. It's a nice little gives you guys a little buffer there.
That's cool.
Okay, something to kind of give you a heads up on. So the first thing, obviously, the first question on here: do you have to sell your current home in order to buy your next one? That doesn't apply. So we're moving right on. So Joey, tell me about your perfect home. What does that look like to you?
Well, since it's my first home and it's only going to be me, so I mean, really, it's pretty simple.
Yep.
I mean, I would like 2 bedrooms.
Okay.
This is a guest bedroom or an office.
Sure.
3 preferred.
Okay, 3 preferred.
Yeah, but I mean a 2 bedroom with maybe a spot to add on or something like that for down the road.
Yeah.
1 bath is fine.
Okay.
I don't need. I mean, since it's only me, I don't need anything other than 1 bath. The garage is key.
Okay.
I'd like a 3-car garage.
Oh, okay.
I would like a 3-car.
3-car.
Because, yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that's really important. I also want I'd like a yard. I'd like a pretty good sized yard.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
So I'd say the garage and the yard is pretty important.
Okay.
And the house, I mean, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath with some maybe additional storage space would be fine.
Sure.
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. And I guess what's most important about that home? Meaning, like, what's important about the 3-car garage and the yard and stuff like that?
I like to work on cars.
You like to work on cars.
So I like to have a little workshop.
Okay.
The yard, I like doing entertaining. I like having barbecues.
Sure.
The horseshoes, stuff like that. Bocce ball, all that. So having a big yard is important to me.
Sure. Let me ask you a quick question while we're on that. What is a big yard to you, Joey? Do you know?
I guess I don't know.
I mean, does that like?
Just something that has enough space.
Or?
Yeah, 1/4 acre minimum, I would think.
Minimum.
Quarter, third.
Sure.
Enough space to you can maybe play a small game of little baseball, or something like that.
Just not that like 1/10 of an acre down in the city where you see that real.
I don't.
Okay, nothing like that.
Anything like that.
But if you got a decent space where you can kind of stretch out a little bit, you're okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Awesome. And so, what areas are you most interested in?
I grew up in the north suburbs.
Okay.
I grew up in New Brighton.
Okay.
So I'm super familiar with it.
Sure.
So, northeast Minneapolis, New Brighton, Mounds View School District, Fridley maybe, you know, just kind of the, you know,
Okay.
those cities and the surrounding.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, awesome. And just, I mean, we kind of already touched on this, but just to kind of reiterate a little bit, how soon would you actually like to move? Assuming everything goes to plan,
I would agree with the ASAP.
ASAP,
Yeah,
we're moving.
yeah.
Got it, awesome.
Mhm.
And have you already looked at any homes, Joy?
No, no,
Okay, cool.
no, just online.
Oh, just on
Looked at
okay.
quite a few online.
Have you seen any that you liked?
Yeah, there was a couple in New Brighton that actually seemed pretty cool.
Okay,
But I knew we were meeting, so
Yeah.
I figured, yeah, we'd talk more.
sure. What, do you remember the addresses of those specifically?
There was a couple on Main Street
Okay, Main Street,
and a couple on Cedar Street, I think.
Cedar,
Yeah.
okay. And I think I've been in one on Main Street, 123 Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
That might have been one of them, huh? It sounded kind
That
of.
sounds familiar. It might have been 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah,
but yeah.
I think I was in that one already with
Yeah.
another buyer of mine. So yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Now, Joey, are you currently working with any other agents?
No, you were the first one, like I said, on the phone. You know, obviously we were talking, I registered on the site.
Right.
I haven't really.
Yeah, no, that's totally cool. Just gotta ask. I'm just curious to make sure we know. And then so on a minimum, how many bedrooms and bathrooms and garage stalls would you need minimum?
The bare minimum, I would say it's gotta be the 2,
Mhm.
for sure minimum,
On the bedrooms.
beds.
Okay.
And I guess if it was if it was an oversized 2-car garage, maybe that would work.
Okay.
If the location in the yard was perfect.
Okay. And then one bathroom minimum. That's fine.
Yeah, that's totally
Okay.
fine.
Okay. And so I know we kind of already touched on this on the phone, but have you gotten your pre-approval yet? Are you still working
yeah,
on that?
Eric called me.
He did.
Eric did call me, and I just have to get him some paperwork. He said it sounded like it was looking good.
Okay.
He asked for a bunch of stuff I gotta get to
Sure.
him, which I have organized. I'm gonna send it to him.
Awesome. So
But I did fill out the pre-approval application.
cool. So you guys are in contact.
Yeah.
You guys are working together. Awesome. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
So keep working that. I mean, obviously that's going to be a big hurdle that we need to get over and get. Once we get that pre-approval, that's kind of like where we can really start, forming the rest of our plan of what we're going to do. But awesome. So keep working that. So I'm making the best use of your time though. What are you working with for a down payment?
I'm probably looking at about 5% down, because I'm looking at about a $200,000 house is my budget.
Okay.
And I'm working with about 5%. I talked to Eric, we're looking at 5% down conventional, I think is what I'm.
That's
what I'm doing.
And you're pretty
Yeah.
comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, awesome. Just wanted to make sure I knew, and part of that is because when we're searching for homes, certain homes qualify for certain financing, certain homes don't qualify other financing, things like that. So I just
Yeah.
want to make sure we're all on the same page with what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a monthly payment on that, I'm sure Eric's already probably told you, I mean, taxes and interest can kind of, adjust things either way, but you're probably looking at somewhere in that $1,200 a month, is that
And
about
that's
right?
for our budget, or for my budget, that's works.
Perfect, awesome. Great, is there anybody else in the decision-making process, Joey?
No,
No, no.
just me. Yep.
Awesome, just wanted to make sure.
I mean, my dad might come to some of the showings,
Okay, sure.
but I'm making the decision.
Okay, so I mean, let me just ask you this though, if you find a house and it's the perfect house and you think it's the perfect house, would your dad have to go through the house before you purchased it?
No, but I've heard that we can do some kind of inspection or something. He might want to come to that.
Sure, yeah, and that's
I
after we
figured
got an
you were gonna
accepted
talk
offer and
about-
all that, yep. But I just wanted to make sure that,
Mhm.
and the only reason I asked that, because then it's like, if we do find if we're gonna start looking at houses and we think they might be the perfect homes, then maybe we want your dad along for all that, if we're going to, if we're not gonna be able to write an offer without him seeing it first. I don't want
Sounds
to,
good.
because sometimes what happens is we get into the house, you love it, and then also we're like, well, let's get dad in there a couple days later, and then the house is sold. I don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah, but I can make the decision. with
Okay,
him. Yeah.
awesome, just wanna make sure. And then, you know what, I'm gonna ask you this question, and maybe another reiteration, but just bear with me here. When I show you the home that best matches what you want and the price you are willing to pay, would you be ready to buy it?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If it worked, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I just love asking that question to people. Sometimes it does a little memory drop for people. People kind of remember things that maybe are kind of, they have this timeline in their head that they're remembering something that they've kind of forgot about until you ask. So, awesome. Well, I got your number here, Joey. It's 651-651-1111.
Mhm.
Is there any other good numbers to reach you at?
Nope, that was it.
That's it, okay. And does call or text work best?
Text, is usually faster response.
Text is faster response, awesome. So we'll go with text, but also call's okay?
Yep.
Sure. What about email? I got you at joey@joey.com?
Yep.
Okay, and that works
That's
okay?
the
You check
only
that
email.
regularly? Yep, okay, good. Awesome. Great. Well, I think we got a pretty thorough needs analysis here, so that's awesome. All we
Okay.
have to do is work off of that. Let's jump right into the presentation if you're
Okay,
ready.
yeah, sounds good. You
Fantastic.
might need the,
Yeah, let's
Keyboard
grab that
stuff.
and yeah, we'll get right into that.
okay, sounds good. This looks like a good presentation. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So, the four things we're going to talk about today are going to be the team, the market, the process, and the value. Those are kind of the big things with purchasing a home.
Okay,
Jack Welch said best, the team with the best players wins. And we
Okay.
do truly believe that. I mean, what that means is that we try to surround ourselves with the best in the industry. Inspectors, title professionals, lenders, everybody who you work with, that we work with, are the best in the industry. And
Okay.
we truly want that to be that way. And if you ever have any problems, we want to know about it because we're going to keep that team, the best players on our team. So,
sounds good.
me and the team, myself, lead buyer specialist. We have Joey Torkelson, CEO, lead agent. Kelly Lauer, realtor on the team.
Great,
Dylan Bodie, buyer specialist. Zoe Mansell, buyer specialist. Haley Field, executive assistant. Dabbles in a little bit of transaction coordination. And somebody that's going to do a lot of the paperwork so I can find you the perfect home.
cool,
We also have Caitlin, she's a listing manager. We won't be really working with her on the buy side here,
okay,
but you will be working with Tamara. She's a
Okay.
transaction manager.
Cool.
From the time that we get an accepted offer on a purchase to closing, that's where Tamara's going to kind of step in. And she's going to be the one that's making sure that deadlines are getting hit, making sure that people are getting lined up, making sure that the communication is never ending with you guys so that you feel like everything's going smoothly. So just look out for that. She'll be, most of the communication will be through email, but some of it on the phone, just depends. So.
okay, sounds good.
Ann Rose, operations assistant.
Okay,
We partner with Leader One Bell Mortgage Alaris and Marketplace. As you know, we've connected you with Eric with Bell.
yep,
Awesome. Inspection partners, Acer Inspection, RHR, Structure Tech. Title partners, Title Smart and Casterton.
okay,
And then Keller Williams, fastest growing, largest, and most client-centric brokerage in America.
Great.
Don't have enough great things I can say about Keller Williams. I mean, they're just awesome. Their training is unmatched. I think it was 2 years ago we won #1 training organization over all industries. So it's just a really great company to work with.
cool.
We're gonna jump right into the market. Any
Okay.
questions about the team or anything like that?
No, it seems good, so so there's always someone to go to.
Always somebody to go.
Okay,
Yep, that's kind of the benefit of having a team.
okay,
Imagine if I was just a solo realtor right now and I'm like, hey Joey, by the way, I'm taking the day off. Who are you gonna call? And don't say the Ghostbusters.
I know.
I knew you were gonna say that. So that's the whole point though, is that's why we work on a team. So there's always somebody available for you. So when I take my days off, I take my son fishing on Fridays, that's what we do. I don't take calls, I don't work, I don't do any of that stuff. We go fishing. But you have somebody to call, and it allows me to recharge my batteries and serve you best.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So the first thing we're going to talk about is rate projections, mortgage rate projections. Looking at it, we have the fourth quarter 2016 here, which was kind of, it's a little outdated here, but there's kind of a reason we left this slide in here, and this is it. So about 6-7 weeks ago, mortgage rates were kind of hovering around the 3.5% range. Everybody was projecting these to be up around 4% in the fourth quarter, and we weren't seeing it. We thought, okay, we're still beating the rates. But then they jumped, and they actually jumped up right to that 4%. And they're actually hovering around 4.25% right now, just so you know. And so we kind of left that in there because it was interesting because, we thought we were still beating these guys on their projections, but it turns out they were right. Mortgage rates are going up. They went up already. They're talking about still steady climbing. And as you can see, here's the projections. Walking into the first quarter here, 1/10 of a point higher. Second quarter going up 1/3 of a point, and then even the third quarter and fourth quarter, we're looking at somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 a point.
Okay.
So, just something to be concerned about. So just keep in mind.
Yep.
As far as I put the slide in here, are we in another housing bubble? Are you familiar with what happened in 2006, 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, my dad told me about what happened.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay, so you kind of have a good idea.
Mhm.
Well, we were kind of concerned a little bit between 2012 and 2013, and this is why. As you can see, the year-over-year appreciation almost at 14% in 1 year. Very unhealthy. What we were worried about is that the next year, the next 2 or 3 years, we were going to see that same 14% climb. Not good. Things were about to pop then. As you can see, that didn't happen. So here we are in 2014, everything kind of steadied out down to that 4, 5, 6% appreciation year over year. Pretty healthy, we're right in that healthy range. So
Cool.
that we were kind of concerned about that. I like to address that because things were kind of going out of control for a little bit there. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Here we are. So we're looking good.
Sounds good.
Where's the inventory at? Month supply, impact on price. So the way we judge inventory is we call it month supply. And what this means is that if today not another home was listed in the Twin Cities, how many months would it take to sell the current inventory?
Okay.
So kind of a simple supply and demand. 1 to 5 months is the seller's market, homes are appreciating. 5 to 6 months in even market is kind of the norm. 6+ months buyer's market, homes are depreciating.
Okay.
Right now in the Twin Cities, we're in a seller's market. And you can see that here. If you look at the graph, here we are under 3 months supply in the Twin Cities on average.
Yeah.
So something to think about. I mean, what that means for you as a buyer is that sellers are getting what they're asking for, meaning that their negotiating power is in their court, in a sense. Generally speaking, when sellers are listing their homes, they're getting that price or close to it. Obviously, we can do a market analysis because everything can be a case-by-case basis. There may be anomalies, there may be homes that are way overpriced, and we're seeing that. If the home's been on the market for 6 months and it hasn't sold and they haven't adjusted the price, well, then that's a different story, then we can talk. But just to give you the idea, in general in the Twin Cities, this is what it's looking like.
Cool, cool.
First step, choosing a competent, experienced team. You've already done that, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
So it's an awesome first step there. Next, you want to choose a lender that'll get you to the finish line. Bigger is not always better. I know we got you connected with Eric, that's a great thing, and this is why. I mean, it turns you into a cash buyer, essentially. When you have a pre-approval with Bell, with Eric at Bell, I mean, it's like you're buying with cash. It's solid. Eric hasn't failed us yet. When he says somebody's approved, they're approved, and the loan closes. It's that good. And generally speaking, it's tough to explain how important that is until you go through the opposite, which is when you get stuck with a bad lender and you go through all the problems and the headaches and everything else. That's when you really understand how important that lender can be. So if you don't understand how important your lender is, it's probably a good sign because they're just doing a good job for you.
Cool.
Give you leverage in multiple offer situations. This is an important part too. With it being a seller's market the way it is, it's important that you have a trustworthy lender, a pre-approval from a trustworthy lender. And this is why. Let's say I'm a listing agent, Joey, and I'm sitting down with my seller, and I got 3 offers here. We're about to present these to the seller. And so I present them to the seller, and I said, this one's got a pre-approval with Wells Fargo, this one's got a pre-approval with Rinky Dink Mortgage, and this one's with Eric with Bell. As a listing agent, and knowing what I know in the industry and who's who, I would definitely recommend to my seller to go with the offer from Bell, even if it was for a little bit less money.
Okay.
And that being said, it's because I know that that's going to close. I know that, because let's say we're in this situation, Joey, we're talking, and you're selling your house, and here we are, and 1 week before closing, we find out that that buyer no longer can afford this house because the lender didn't do their job. How does that make you feel as a seller?
Right.
You're like, oh no, I'm not doing that. That's worth a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
It very well could be.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important. Multiple offer situation reduces the cost of stress. This is a big thing too. I mean, nothing more stressful than you having your stuff packed up, ready to move, a week before closing, and your lender says, sorry, I messed up, you can't get the loan. How bad would that be?
I can see that.
Yeah, we don't want to go down that road.
Okay.
So, as far as the house hunt goes, wants versus needs, criteria, location, we kind of already addressed that. So we got that figured out there, so we'll be able to set up the search accordingly. When we set up the search, we're going to set up on the Northstar MLS.
Okay.
This is a site that only agents have access to. It's a regulated site. You'll get the most accurate information. That's kind of the big difference between this and like Zillow, Trulia, MLS Online. Those are all consumer sites, meaning that the more homes they have on there, the better, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to attract you to their site. The Northstar MLS, this is a regulated site. This is for agents only. We set it up. It's accurate information. If they're active, they'll get sent to your email. If they go pending or they're ready to close, you're not going to see them on your listing.
Sounds good.
So,
cool.
things that we do, daily prospecting, door knocking, and networking. This is a big part of our business.
Okay.
Joey, you won't be able to get a hold of me between 8:30 and 11:30 because I'm going to be prospecting. That's Monday through Friday.
What do you mean?
Well, you won't be able to get a hold of me.
Oh.
I'm going to be on the phone calling for sellers or out knocking on doors looking for sellers for you or some of my other buyers. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
from
cool.
8:30 to 11:30, you're just not going to be able to get a hold of me. You can get a hold of the assistants, transaction coordinators, anybody like that, give them a shout. They can be able to take your call and answer your questions. But just so you know, I just tell everybody up front, that's the way it is. So just so you know, that time frame will kind of be off limits. But the reason we do that is so we can really focus. So like when you say like, James, I want that 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom in the north suburbs, with a big garage and an awesome yard. And I'm like, yeah, Joey, that sounds great. We can unleash on a neighborhood of homes until we find that home for you. And then there you go. Now you got first pick on it because nobody else even knows it's coming on the market.
Oh, that's cool, yeah.
That's what we're looking to do.
Okay.
So
Sounds good.
things to consider for showings. We have to set it up with the seller, so be considerate of schedules. What we mean by that is like, let's say you find the perfect home, James, I want to see 123 Main Street. I'm like, awesome, when do you want to go see it? Like, how about 10 minutes from now? I'm like, Well, you know, the seller probably needs a little time to clean up, get out of there, maybe in the middle of dinner. Just saying, we should probably just be a little more considerate. Now, that's not to say, if it's a hot property, that we don't try to get in there as soon as possible. So I don't want you to be discouraged by that. I just want you to keep that in mind as a little thing in the back of your mind. Hey, you know, the seller's probably living there. Now, if the home's vacant, whatever, we put it in, it gets auto approved, and awesome, we're in the home. But just to kind of keep that in mind.
Cool.
Preferred that kids do not attend. So that's just something, it's a preference. I've bent the rule before, but it is a preference. It's just so you can focus on the home and really see what you're buying.
Okay.
So
That sounds good.
hot property rule, that's kind of what we just touched on, but essentially, if you see a hot property, let's say it's Friday, and I take Fridays off, and all of a sudden this property comes across your email and you're like, this is it. This property is it. Like, I want to buy this property. Obviously, you want to walk through it first, but you're pretty certain, like, this is the one. Don't wait for me to get back on Saturday to go look at the property. If you want to get in that property,
listing agent?
I'm going to give you a whole sheet. We got a whole sheet of the whole, everybody on the team, we got all the information on the sheet. I'm going to give that to you before we leave today. You'll have everybody's information. Call one of the buyer specialists, call anybody. You can call me, I probably won't answer, shoot me a text, shoot me an email. If I happen to see your text, I might forward it on to one of the agents on the team, they'll reach out to you. We'll get you in the property. What I don't want you to do is wait till Saturday, I get back on or whatever, and then all of a sudden the property's sold. I don't want you to miss out on the perfect home based on my schedule. That's why we work on a team.
Cool.
Awesome. It's recommended that you drive by properties to confirm the neighborhood. I don't know how many times that I've pulled up to a property and I've gotten out of my car and the buyers get out of the car and they start doing one of these. And I'm like, what? And they're like, the thing with the setup and the lot. All right, like, nope, I'm like, you guys don't like this property. Like, no, like, we should probably go look at it. I'm like, wait. If we went inside and it was perfect, would you buy it? They're like, no. We're like, well, let's go. Just drive by them, check them out. You could probably rule out about 30% of the properties that you look at based on driving by through the neighborhood.
Okay.
Maybe there's a huge apartment building next door and you don't know and you're like, oh, I don't like that, whatever. So, cool. And then short sales foreclosures are sold as is. Are you familiar with that?
And I am, but a little bit. But why don't you do a run through?
Okay, so
just so I know what.
Right. Yeah. So short sales, it would be essentially what a short sale is essentially. Say you're a seller and you want to sell your home, and you bought it 10 years ago and you bought it for $200,000, but now you want to sell it. And so I'm a real estate agent. I come over, I do a market analysis, and I decide it's only worth about $170, or the market I guess decides that. But I tell you, say, hey, based on today's market, your home's only worth about $170. So that would be you trying to sell that home for $170,000 and let the bank forgive the rest of the money that you owe on the mortgage.
Okay.
Banks aren't really in the market for forgiving money, so there you are. So I mean, the biggest part to you about a short sale and how it affects you is that generally speaking, it can take anywhere from 1 month to 7 months to get closed.
Okay.
Because you got to negotiate it with the bank, whether there's a law firm involved or whether the listing agent's trying to negotiate it themselves. I mean, it could be one of those dudes. It's kind of a rigmarole. So with your time frame, based on the time that you express that you want to move into a house, I would recommend maybe not looking at that, but that's up to you.
As far as timing goes, I'd say let's not look at them.
Not look at them?
No,
Okay.
because I don't want to wait.
Well, that's, it's not that you might not find a good deal, you might not find a good house, but what it is that, let's say, we find a short sale and you love it, we put an offer in, and then, a week later, you call me, you're like, hey James, what's going on? And I'm like, well, I'm just waiting to hear back from the bank. And then a week later after that, and then a month after that, and then a month after. You know what I mean? It's almost like, it's like the heartstrings, it's like, okay, I'm just sick of this. And then you end up canceling, you waste a bunch of time. So I'm just curious if that's something you're interested in doing. If you want to go down that road, we can.
No, I'd say I don't want to look at those.
Okay, cool. And then as far as foreclosures and lender-owned properties, familiar with those?
So what's the difference with that and a short sale?
Well, the big part about a foreclosure is that it's still in the foreclosure process, meaning that they're still in the foreclosure process. The hard part is that Minnesota has a right of redemption period. So you get a 6-month right of redemption period in Minnesota. So let's say you get your house foreclosed on, let's say you buy the right to that house, you buy that deed. Now that homeowner that got foreclosed on has a 6-month right of redemption period still. If that's something you're willing to go down that road, that's okay, but generally speaking, I recommend to first-time home buyers, maybe we don't want to go down that road. Maybe for a second or a third property, investment properties, that would be a better fit.
Okay.
But, the other one is lender owned, which means that the bank already has possession of the property. Now that's more of a straightforward deal. The only difference is that it's sold as is.
Okay.
So that means, like, as far as negotiating repairs and things like that, bank's probably not going to do it.
Okay.
So just kind of keeping that in mind. Now,
That's cool.
Are you cool with looking at lender owned properties?
Those seem fine.
Yeah, okay.
Because there's no time frame.
There's really not a time frame. I mean, it's pretty much 45 days, pretty standard.
Okay.
Yeah, they might have a little more paperwork with the bank as far as their addendums and legal jargon, but yeah, I mean, it'll be pretty standard.
Okay.
Okay. And then what about for sale by owners? Are you familiar with how that works?
I think so, but what?
Essentially, I'm a homeowner, I grab a for sale sign, I put it on a stick, I stab it in my front yard, I'm selling my home. That's a for sale by owner.
Okay.
Generally, two things happen for sale by owners. One, we go in there, you send me the info, you drive by, you see the information, you send it to me. I call them, we negotiate, and we end up getting a good deal on the property. It ends up going a little smoother in the sense that I then represent you and I'm kind of guiding the seller to the transaction so that way everything runs smooth.
Okay.
That's the one good part about it. More than likely than not, what's going to happen is we're going to call them and they're going to be about $50,000 overpriced.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to tell them that and we're going to show them the stats and they're not going to be willing to budge on price and then we're just going to have to move on. That happens a lot.
And so should I call them?
You should call me.
Oh,
what
okay.
I always recommend is you drive by, you see a for sale sign, it doesn't look like a real estate sign, it just looks like a regular for sale sign. Snap a picture of it and send it to me.
Okay.
It's the easiest way to do it.
Sounds good.
And then I can negotiate with them.
Okay.
So, awesome.
Good.
Negotiating on your behalf, speaking of negotiating.
Mm-hmm.
Goal is a win-win or no deal. And what we mean by that is that we want everybody to feel like they're getting a fair deal. We're not here to rake the seller over the coals and back them into a corner because they're getting a job transfer and we know they got to sell, so we're just going to lowball them until they do. That's not really what we're here to do. We want everybody to feel good about the transaction.
Okay.
And the benefit to you on that is this. So the deals that I did last year with these listing agents, and everybody won and everybody felt good and everybody walked away happy. Now when we work together again this year and I call the listing agent, I'm like, hey Betty, what's going on? And she's like, what's going on, James? I'm not good to hear from you. Hey, you got 123 Main Street for sale and I got a client, they're interested in it. What do we got to do to get in there? Well, here's the deal. This is what the seller's looking for. They really want to close on X date because of blah, 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 blah. And maybe they tell me that, maybe they don't. But there's a better chance that they're going to tell me that than if I would have raked them over the coals last time we worked together.
Cool.
Now you know the motivation. Now you can say, hey Joey, if you can close on this date, let's give them a fair offer. We don't have to offer over list, but let's just give them a fair offer. You see what I'm saying? The benefit's
that makes
there.
sense.
So we try to do all of our business that way.
Okay.
Earnest money, are you familiar with earnest money?
I think so, but maybe I just heard some things. That's just some money I have to give up front?
Yes, so you're paying up front. It's kind of
Okay.
like a deposit, if you will,
Okay.
in a real estate transaction. What it does is it holds the property for you. So let's say we write an offer,
Mm-hmm.
put it in on 123 Main Street, offer gets accepted. Boom, we got to have the earnest money check to the listing broker within 48 hours.
Oh, I see, okay.
Okay, and so generally it's 1 to 2% of sales price. We say no less than $1,000.
Mhm.
We give that to the listing broker. The listing broker cashes that, so they will pull that money from the account,
Okay.
and it'll be held in a trust account. So they're going to hold that money until closing, and then it'll go towards your down payment.
Okay,
So,
cool.
and that's kind of like your deposit. And so it's to keep you from if you didn't have earnest money, essentially you could put like 10, 15 offers in, and then decide to cancel these ones and keep this one or whatever. There's really no skin in the game at that point. So
Cool.
that's what the point of it's for.
Okay.
Cool. Offer price. Sometimes you pay more to get it for less.
Yeah, what do you mean?
The concept behind that is, let's say you see this property and you're like, oh, James, this one is awesome. What do you want to, and I'm like, cool, what do you want to do? And I was like, let's go look at it. We go look at it, I'm like, yep, no, this is awesome. Things one day on the market, it's listed at $185,000. And you're like, this thing, and I'm telling you, I'm going, Joey, this thing's worth, based on the comps in the area, this thing's probably worth somewhere between 185 and 2. And you're like, okay, cool. And I'm like, yeah, I want to put an offer. I'm like, cool, what do you want to offer? And you're like, 160. And I'm like, okay, why? And you're like, well, because I just don't want to pay full price. And I'm like, I understand that. But the real deal here is that the property's probably worth more like 195. They listed it for 185 to get as much attention as possible and create multiple offers.
Mm-hmm.
So if we wanted to get that property, if we realistically wanted to secure that property and have you buy that property, we'd have to offer more like 190, 195.
Okay.
So you see what I'm saying? Like sometimes you pay more to get it for less. Because what happens if you offer 160 and then it gets into multiple offers? Now you really got to go above and beyond. That's the concept we're looking at. So maybe you offer, it's listed at 185, and it's worth somewhere between 185 and 200. Maybe we offer 190 right off the bat and just want to secure that property. And you're going, well, wait a minute, why do I offer 5,000 over? That's why.
Cool. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Closing date, 30 to 45 days out. We kind of talked about that.
That's
just to
just
kind
the
of give it. Yeah, it's an average. So if we need to rush it for some reason, we could try to rush it a little bit. If we need more time, we can probably get more time. So
Okay.
just something to kind of keep in mind. Financing contingency, we'll have one of those in there with every offer. And essentially what that means is that if for some reason you lose your job between, after the inspection period and closing, you're going to get your earnest money back. You don't
Okay.
have to buy the house.
Okay.
Inspection contingency, same concept. It's going to be the first 10 calendar days from when we get accepted offer. We need 10 calendar days out, and that's just kind of an industry standard. That can be adjusted a little bit, but generally speaking, 10 calendar days is the standard.
Okay.
And what that does is that in that time frame, we have the chance to schedule an inspection, get an inspection, receive the results, and then from there decide on what we want to do.
Okay,
So,
sounds good.
and then other considerations would be like if you had to sell a property to purchase property, things
Oh,
like
yeah.
that, but that's not where you're at.
Okay, sounds good.
As far as the inspection process goes, inspections are for major items only. And what we're saying about that is like, we've already walked through the house, we saw that there was a stain on the carpet over here, we saw there might have been a little chip paint, things aren't in pristine condition, there's a few things that could be done, general homeowner maintenance stuff. That's not what we're looking for in an inspection.
Okay.
The inspector's looking for that, and he's gonna give you all that stuff in a report. But really what we're concerned about is things that we're not seeing. We've already decided to offer an amount on the house based on the condition that we know it's in. But what we're looking for is the condition that we don't know it's in. So the inspector will also get the report back and he says, oh, you got a cracked heat exchanger in the furnace. That's gotta be replaced and that's gonna cost you $5,000. It's like, oh, we didn't know that. Well now, that's kind of what we're looking for in the inspection.
Okay,
So
yeah.
just to keep that in mind, we're not here to nitpick, you're gonna get a 15-page report. That inspector could write a 15-page report on just about any house. So just looking for the big stuff, trying to make sure that the stuff that we didn't see when we walked through the house originally. Do you understand that?
Yeah, that makes
Okay,
sense.
Makes sense, cool. Inspection's paid for by you at the time of inspection.
Okay.
Just so you know, date of
Yeah.
inspection, just bring a check, you can write it out to the inspector. Price ranges from $350 to $500. That usually depends on if you want to do like a radon test or something like that. So the inspection will usually run around that $325 to $400 range, and if you want to add radon on, it's about another $125. So
Okay.
just keeping that in mind. Are you familiar with radon?
Yeah, I think I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that, I mean, if you want more information, I do have another sheet of information in here I'll give to you.
Okay.
But do some more research on it. If you want to do a radon test, feel free, just let the inspector know and he can do that for you.
Cool.
Options after inspection. So you have three major options after inspection. You can move forward, say, nope, this house is exactly what we thought it was. It's in the condition that we thought it was in. Yeah, we're good, we're moving forward. We remove the inspection contingency. You could ask for repairs, say, oh, no, the water heater isn't heating water anymore, and there's a faucet, or there's a pipe underneath the sink that's leaking. Fix those two things, we'll move forward. Cool. Or you could cancel and say, nope, this house is being held up by like a twig in the middle, and when I pull it out, the whole thing's gonna fall. Got it, let's cancel, let's get out of here.
Okay.
We don't want nothing to do with it. Those are your three options.
Okay.
Within that inspection period, you will get your earnest money back, no matter what you do with
If
that.
we cancel.
If you cancel, you'll
Okay.
get your earnest money back. If you move forward, it goes towards your down payment. Request repairs, obviously, then you move forward after the repairs.
Okay.
So. And remain calm. We do this every day, we got your back. I feel like I've seen it all, but then every time I get surprised again, but it's nothing, we got your back. It's
Cool.
nothing we can't handle.
Okay, sounds good.
Then we move to closing. Financing, lender-driven underwriting, so that's where the underwriter's gonna go through the file. So Eric does the pre-approval, the kind of double check his work. He's
Okay.
gonna go through and make sure your debts are your debts, your incomes are your incomes, everything adds up, everything looks good.
Okay,
From there, they're gonna get an appraisal, the lender's gonna wanna know that the money they're lending for the asset or the house is actually worth that. So they're gonna make sure, they're gonna have a third party come in and make sure that it's actually worth that.
Okay.
And then they're gonna get the clear to close.
Cool.
And then clear to close, you're gonna move over to title. Title's gonna do a title search. They're gonna check to make sure there's no liens on the properties, make sure nobody did do any work on the property that hasn't got paid. Executes paperwork at closing, so Ingy from Title Smart, if you choose to go with Ingy, she was gonna do all the paperwork at closing, and essentially what it is she's gonna walk you through and make sure you understand everything you're signing, what it all means.
okay,
And then they're gonna record the title to state and county.
cool,
And then you better move.
cool.
After closing, you get the keys, garage openers, you move in.
Sounds good.
Cool, let's talk about the value.
Okay,
Value of the team, I mean, quite a few things that we highlighted here. Off-market home searches, so part of a few different groups that we can have access to homes that are either coming on the market or haven't quite hit the market that other people might not have access to. Maintaining knowledge of inventory. I've probably been through 500 homes this year. I have a pretty good idea where things are at, price ranges, what you're gonna get for your money, and have a pretty good idea what's on the market or what would be available in your price range. So that's a big plus. I could save you a bunch of time just by kind of clearing that up for you.
yeah,
Good industry relationships. That's kind of goes back to that win-win or no deal. It's really nice to be able to call an agent that we've worked with before and we had a good transaction because we try to make them all good. So that way we can have that relationship, say, hey, what else do you got coming on? Oh, I do have this one coming on over here, and we can get first shot at it.
cool.
And then the team and availability. I cannot imagine doing this by myself. There's no way that I'd be able to be completely, fully through, be able to service your needs completely, and any other clients for that matter, without having the team. So the nice part about the team is that you always have somebody you can call.
Sounds good.
And then my favorite quote, if you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done.
Cool.
I don't know how many times I've thought about doing things, was last year, I was talking about running this marathon, and I just talked about it, and finally I just did it. It felt great.
Yeah. Cool. Sounds good.
Any questions for me?
Nope.
That's it?
I think that's good. That helped out a lot.
Awesome. So you kind of have a pretty good idea of what it takes to purchase a home, the
Yeah.
process, everything.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So what, now
You
what's
wanna
the
get-
next,
you wanna get
what's
started?
the next step? Yeah, sure.
Perfect. Well, we got some paperwork to go over. So
Okay.
I got your needs analysis here. Here's a buyer's cost sheet. This is something we just kind of made up, and we thought it was kind of a cool deal. Just to give you an idea, it really just outlines the cost associated with purchasing a home. So retainer fee, $395, that's due immediately.
Okay.
So as soon as we enter into an agreement, then, and if you don't have your checkbook on you, that's okay. But if you have it on you, can just write a check to Keller Williams Premier today.
Okay.
Otherwise, we can connect later this week and grab that.
So I do pay you that now.
Yeah, yep.
Okay.
And then earnest money, 1 to 2% of the sales price. That's due 48 hours after accepted PA.
Okay.
So we can send a copy of the check with the purchase agreement, or we can get it over to the listing broker within 48 hours.
Sounds good.
Inspection, $300 to $600. That's due at the time of the inspection. So you just pay the inspector there, make the check out to him, just bring your checkbook with you. Appraisal, $350 to $500, due on the date of appraisal. You're working with Eric. He's going to float the appraisal till closing. You'll never see it.
Okay.
Down payment, 0 to 25%, due at closing. So depending on what kind of loan product, it looks like you guys are going 5% down conventional, so that'll work. So that's just kind of outlining what it could be. And then closing costs, 3% of the sales price, due at closing. And that could be paid for by you. We could ask the seller to pay, or we could build it into the loan price.
Okay.
So essentially saying if we wanted to offer, if the house was listed at 185 and you're like, I want to give them a full priced offer because I really love this house, but you want to build your closing costs in, maybe we want to go 190 or 192, and then seller pays the closing costs, and that would be building them into the loan.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. Okay.
Caution. So the first thing we're going to go over is agency and relationship in a real estate transaction.
Okay.
So there's a few different agencies in Minnesota. And Minnesota state law requires us to go over this and just talk about the different relationships that brokers or agents can have with clients. The first one is seller's broker. This would be if I was going to represent you if you were selling a home.
Okay.
Obviously, we're representing the buy side, you're not selling a home, so we're not going to worry about seller's broker.
Sounds good.
Buyer's broker. This is what we'd enter into when we enter into this buyer's agreement. Essentially what it says is that I owe you fiduciary duties, and I'm going to look out for your best interest, and I'm obligated to do such.
Okay.
Dual agency. Same concept as buyer's broker, except for that would be if the listing agent or the home that you're buying, the seller, was represented by our brokerage as well.
Okay.
So we'd be in a buyer's broker on that side, they'd be in a seller's broker on their side, both by the same brokerage.
Okay.
That's dual agency.
Sounds good.
And then you have facilitator. And this would be, generally speaking, we only would do a facilitator going to this would be like, if you were like, say you were renting a place and you were living there and you're like, hey James, we want to buy this place and the landlord wants to sell it to us, I could facilitate the transaction.
Oh, I see.
And so it'd be kind of like one of those things where you don't really need representation, we're not visiting multiple homes and talking about opinions and stuff like that. You really just want me to facilitate the transaction for you. You already know the house, you already know what you want to pay, you guys have already kind of worked that out.
Sounds good.
Cool. As far as fiduciary duties, when I talk about buyer's broker, these are the fiduciary duties that I would owe you. Loyalty, obedience, disclosure, confidentiality, reasonable care, and accounting.
Cool.
So those are the fiduciary duties that I owe you, bound by the state of Minnesota, to look out for your best interest within those categories.
Okay, great.
And then notice regarding predatory offender information. And what this says essentially, we're kind of taking a bow out. We're saying we don't know, but if you want to know, there's the website, here's the phone number. Take a look and see if there's any predators in the area, houses that you're looking at.
Cool.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So if you want to just sign there and date there.
All right.
Cool.
Is that it? Just the signature?
And then one initial down here on
okay.
line 48.
Sounds good. Okay.
So next thing we're going to talk about is going to be the buyer's representation contract. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill this in here. Joey Torkelson, and then the broker is going to be Keller Williams Premier Realty. And then the dates here. So now generally speaking, a buyer's representation contract goes for about 6 months. Are you cool with that?
That seems fine. Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll go ahead and set that today. 6 months out.
Okay.
Awesome. Right here talks about the broker's obligation. So this is essentially saying that as an agent of the broker, I'm obligated to help you find or locate a home that suits your needs.
Okay.
Right underneath that talks about the buyer's obligation. Same thing. Essentially says that you're obligated to actually look for a home and that you're actually planning on making a move or purchasing a home and that you're willing to do that.
Okay.
Cool. Notice compensation for purchase, lease, rental, or management of real property shall be determined between each individual broker and the broker's client. Essentially what that's saying is that compensation is determined between the broker and the client, and it could all be different.
Okay.
In this case, I'm going to go ahead and fill this out. 2.70, 30 days, shall.
So what are those?
So what this is saying right here is saying that there's a $395 retainer fee. We talked about that. So
Okay.
that's going to go to the brokerage. That's the only thing that you're actually gonna pay me. Unless we get down here, and I'm gonna explain this to you right here. This says a buyer shall pay broker as broker's compensation 2.7% of the selling price, which is a standard buyer's broker's compensation.
Okay,
You're not actually gonna pay that. If you go down here, it says that the seller shall actually reduce all obligation to pay that.
oh, I see.
The instance where this would come into play, and the reason that they word this the way they do and actually put this in here like this, is because, like, let's say it's a for sale by owner, and there's no listing broker. Well, let's say I call the for sale by owner and say, hey, are you willing to pay a buyer's broker's compensation? And they say, no. That's when you would be responsible for the 2.7%.
So I would have to pay you at that point?
At that point, you would have to pay me the 2.7%.
Okay.
Here's the deal, Joey. This is something I tell all my clients. Don't worry about this. We will sit down and have a meeting before this ever comes into play.
Okay,
Meaning that I don't want you to think like when we're walking through homes, like, well, is this one of those homes or is that? Don't even worry about it. I will call you, I will whatever, I'll say, Joey, we need to have a meeting because remember that paragraph we talked about on the buyer's rep? That came into play and I just want to talk to you about it and make sure you're comfortable with what it looks like.
cool.
Cool?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Buyer's actions in locating a property may affect payment or compensation by seller and may therefore be obligated to pay the buyer part or full compensation. Essentially, what this is saying that if you go to, let's say you go to an open house, you go look at a property, you go to an open house, and then you call me, you're like, James, I found the perfect house, 123 Main Street at this open house, I just left, I want to write an offer. I'm like, cool. And we go write up an offer and we submit it and we get through. What's going to happen is essentially that listing agent's going to take my commissions because I never actually even went through that house with you. I never showed you the property. You just went through it by yourself. And so what I would essentially to combat that, all I would do is I would say, Joey, you love that house? Okay, let's go look at it one more time, me and you. Set up a showing, let's get in there, let me walk through, let me make sure that I feel comfortable with the price and so I kind of know what we're doing there.
Okay.
That's okay?
That's fine.
Okay, I just want to let you know that so when that comes up or if
No
that does
problem.
come up, that's what we need to do. All right, we're doing residential personal property.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. And then closing services. Now, do you want to arrange for title or would you like us to arrange for title?
Well, it seems like you.
Yeah, okay, and that's fine. And then generally
That's
speaking, I would
easy.
say most people do, just let us take care of it. We use Ingy from Title Smart, or I do, like 100% of the time. She's awesome, she's very competitively priced. I think she does a great job.
Okay.
The only time I ever had people that usually generally say like, I want to arrange titles, like if you had some of your family that was did title closings, you might want to use your family member.
Cool.
So, cool, just initial right there.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Additional costs, this talks about the closing costs that we talked about. So
Okay.
just making sure that we're working that, so like it's just kind of essentially saying like, hey, there's a 3% or there's an additional cost that could be with purchasing this home and that you were aware of that. But we already kind of talked about that and we'll talk about that when we structure the offer. We'll talk about what you want to do with closing costs.
Cool.
Awesome. Ford Investment and Real Property Tax Act, you're a U.S. citizen?
Yep.
Awesome. Private inspection warranty. That essentially says broker recommends that buyer obtain a private inspection. This is essentially saying the broker is definitely recommending that you get a private inspection and that that's something you should do.
Okay. Sounds good.
Agency representation. This is talking about dual agency. So we talked about dual agency and agency. Are you cool with dual agency or do you want
I don't see a problem with that.
you don't see a problem?
No.
Okay, cool. So I'm gonna check this box right here, buyer agree to dual agency representation.
Okay.
And if you wanna go ahead and sign right there. And then I'm gonna write the broker in here, and I'm gonna sign here. Cool. And that's just, that essentially, I mean, obviously we talked about what that is, but the downside to not agreeing to dual agency would be then we couldn't look at properties listed by Keller Williams Premier, which just, it kinda gives us a little bit of a disadvantage in a way. As long as there's enough trust that we're gonna do the right thing. If for some reason, I had a listing and you're looking at it and you're like, hey, we really love this property, but it's your listing, now I'm kind of in the middle of that thing, I would essentially go to both parties and say, what are you guys comfortable with? And if I needed like somebody else on the team to step in and negotiate one of the sides, I would be more than happy to do that.
Cool.
So, another benefit of the team. Other potential buyers. Buyer understands that other potential buyers may consider and make offers through the purchase through the broker of the same or similar properties. Essentially, this stands that we may have other buyers that are looking at the same properties, and that we can represent other buyers while we're working together.
Cool.
Cool. Previous agency relationship. Essentially says that I may have a previous agency relationship with the seller. Maybe I help them buy the home that they're in and now they're selling. So,
Okay.
home that you're looking at. So, but I would just let you know that. Say, hey, I know these guys, if you're not comfortable with it, once again, I could have somebody step in if we need to.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Notice regarding predatory offender information. This is on all of our paperwork. Here we go again. There's the website. There's the phone number.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Electronic signatures. Parties agree to electronic signatures, essentially saying that they're binding signatures, same as pen and ink.
Okay.
Cool. And then consent for communication. It says that you consent for us, the brokerage, and myself to communicate with you before, during, and after this transaction.
Sounds good.
Awesome. And then 7 lines of other.
Okay.
Anything you wanna write in?
No.
Oh, cool.
Sounds
All right.
good.
James bringing pizza to close it? No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
right.
Yeah, right. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna sign here, right
Okay.
this in, if you wanna sign right there. Then
Now,
go ahead
should
and
I
fill in the
put
date.
anything else? Oh.
Yep, just fill in the
Fill
date
the
there.
date?
Yep.
Do I
that's
gotta
right.
do this?
Ah, you don't have to do
No,
it.
okay, sounds good.
Now we're gonna run through buyers, disclosures, waivers, and acceptances. So what this is saying, essentially saying Keller Williams Premier Realty is a licensed real estate brokerage engaged in the practice of real estate marketing. It's saying that we're not a contractor, we're not an accountant, we're not an attorney, so if you need legal advice, call an attorney. If you need tax advice, call an accountant. And if you need to know how to move a load-bearing wall, call a contractor.
Okay, sounds good.
Buyer's home inspection waiver. Is that something you are planning on doing?
Yeah, well, do the home inspection?
Yes.
Yeah, we are.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna just cross this off, we're not even gonna initial that one. We're
Okay.
not waiving the home inspection. Final walkthrough. Essentially saying that you have the right to a final walkthrough directly before closing or within a close time frame to that. So like maybe the night before, maybe the hour before closing, whatever you decide is good with you, that's what we'll do.
Cool, cool.
And what that's for is to make sure that property's in the same general condition that you last saw it.
Sounds good.
And then buyer's multiple offers acknowledgement, essentially saying that the seller could have multiple offers, they do not have to disclose that.
Okay.
So if they may, I don't know why they wouldn't, why they would ever keep, but for whatever reason, it's just saying that you know that they don't have to disclose it if they don't want to, but if they have multiple offers.
Cool.
And then affiliated business arrangement, it says that Keller Williams Premier is affiliated with Partners Title North Suburban. We don't use Partners Title, so it should never be an issue if we're going with Inky. So.
Okay.
This right here at the bottom says you are not required to use any of the specified companies as a condition of this purchase. So essentially saying these are recommendations, title, lenders, inspectors, all that's recommendations. People we've used in the past that we really truly love to work with and we feel do a good job.
Cool.
You're not required to use any of them. You can, at any time, you can use your own party as well if you find somebody else to be more qualified.
Sounds good.
Signature and date there.
All right.
Great. Awesome. That's it, Joey. We're gonna get the process started. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set you up on an MLS search. We'll get
Okay,
that search
yeah.
going for you. And then from there, what you can do is I'm gonna give you this folder here. This has
Okay.
got my card. It's got Eric's information. It's got some more stuff in here as far as. Oh, let me open this up here for you. Couple more sheets in here. Expectations, highlight sheets. This just goes through our hours, the office hours. All this is remember that sheet I talked about with the phone numbers and everything. It's got everybody's information on it. Talks about when people are in and how you can get a hold of them. So
Sounds
that's a
good.
good one for you to keep there. This is ways to communicate, and we kind of touched on this already. But as far as like when do you want, what would be the best way to communicate? What your work schedule looks like? What do you want to do for signatures? How often do you want to hear from us? That's kind of a big one. So if you want to fill this one out real quick,
Okay,
get that
yeah.
rocking and rolling too.
I'll fill that out.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Perfect. Perfect. Yep. Great. So I'm going to keep that one as well. And then that one will have everybody's information on it. This has got Eric's information in here. It's got a little sheet on Radon here so you can do a little more information on Radon as well as my card.
Okay.
You can take all that with you. I'm going to set you up on a home search. We'll get you rocking on the MLS. When you see the homes come in, the first email that's going to come in is going to be an email that's going to have a long paragraph talking about the MLS. About halfway down, it's going to say click here. When you click there, it's going to go to the list of homes that match your criteria that we set up. From that point on, as soon as you open the MLS emails, it'll just be a list of homes, just so you know.
Sounds good.
When you go through the homes, if you could, there's little icons next to them. You can do a light bulb, a heart, or a trash can. That's a heart, obviously, if it's a favorite. Light bulb is a possibility, and then trash can if you want to get rid of it.
Cool.
If you could go through and sort those as you're going through, like what you're thinking on them, that'll give me a better idea because I can see that on my end, and then kind of see like, okay, maybe there's a pattern going on here, or maybe I realize that all of a sudden you don't like split entries, and you didn't know it, as we were talking about it here. But then all of a sudden we get in, I'm like, oh, Joey. All these split entries are ending up in the trash. You don't like split entries? Like, no, I don't like those. Okay, cool. We can just take them off. We don't ever have to look at them again. I can change the search. So
Okay.
just so you know. So if we can rock that out. Sound good?
Cool.
Awesome, man. I'm
So
gonna get it
what's the
set up.
next steps then?
So next steps are checkbook. You got a checkbook on you?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Well, we're gonna write a check to
So
Keller
write a
Williams
check
from
out
here
real
for
quick.
$395.
There you
That's
go.
gonna be for the retainer fee. Awesome. We're good to go there. I'm gonna set the search up. You'll see that come through your email. Start looking at houses. Check them as we talked about. I'll follow up with you in a couple days here and kind of see where you're at. If I don't see any activity, maybe I'll just follow up and see, make sure you got the email. But
Okay.
otherwise, I'm gonna follow up with you, and then we'll find some times that we can carve out to go look at houses.
Okay, sounds
Sound like a
good.
plan?
Yeah, sounds
Awesome,
good.
Joe. You're good, man.
Well, thanks, James.
Hey, absolutely. I look
Appreciate
forward
it.
to helping you, brother.
Sounds good.
Have a good one, and we'll see you soon.
Sounds good, thanks.